Today's question is, why does my jaw hurt when playing the violin? Jaw tension is very common amongst violinists. I in particular have a broken jaw, which was not noticed at the time. Even if you don't have a broken plate in your jaw or any kind of fracture or any jaw injury from the past, you may find that playing the violin causes you to clamp down pretty hard with your jaw, which can cause tension. So perhaps you're somebody who, when going to sleep at night, you struggle to sleep because your jaw is tense. Perhaps you feel it during the daytime as well. Perhaps it's only when you're playing the violin. But we're going to talk about that today. Some of the causes, how you can adjust your posture so that it doesn't happen to you when you're playing, and how also you can heal existing jaw tension that's built up so that you can kind of remove some of the tension that you may already be holding. So if this sounds like you, then do keep watching. First thing that we're going to look at is the posture, the correct posture. Imagine you have an invisible piece of string holding you from the top of your head, and you should stand like that. So never be tempted to lean forward like that when playing the violin, although it is very tempting, and we all do it. If it helps you, you can imagine that there's a column of light coming out the top of your head, and imagine that that column of light goes also down your spine, right down to your tailbone if you're sat down, or down into the floor if you're stood up. And that is your best starting point. Now, if you don't do this part correctly, what I'm going to say next won't actually work mechanically. So please do practice good posture. This isn't just for the way it looks, there's a good reason for it. Now, sometimes this isn't that easy, especially if you have weak back muscles and you haven't been doing this for a long time. To start with, it can feel very odd, but the more that you do it, the easier it will be. And you can also practice simple back stretches. If you just Google back stretches for lower and upper back, that will also help you to heal some of the pain, but we can talk about that on another video. So a good shoulder rest is absolutely vital to be able to hold the violin in the right way. I use the Kuhn Solo. You can Google that, or I will leave a link to it in the bottom of the text of this video. Your shoulder rest will be adjustable. If it's not, then throw it in a bin. So the Kuhn Solo adjusts in like that and out like that. So in and out on both feet. I won't show you the other one, but it does the same thing. And also these wind up and down. So getting your shoulder rest position right before you start playing is quite important, because this again will determine whether you're able to continue with the rest of the steps that I'm going to talk through today. So I personally have a very particular shoulder rest position. Yours will be different from mine. I should also say that there are other brands of shoulder rests for people who have different body structures. Now, I have a sort of medium to long distance between my chin and my shoulder. If you have a very short distance, you will need to find a very low setting on this shoulder rest, or find a much lower shoulder rest that suits your build. If you have a very long neck, so perhaps you're over 6 foot tall, for example, I'm 5'7", so I'm not particularly tall or short, somewhere in the middle. This is perfect. Oh dear, that's not good. So they do fall out if you unwind them too far. Anyway, but despite that, it is very good quality, and it probably is the standard shoulder rest in the market at the moment for professionals. There are other brands. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head. There's one called Wolf, which I find not very comfortable unless you're very tall. But the best way to find out is to go get it fitted professionally at a violin shop, and they'll be able to tell you. So you have two different positions. One is the left, doesn't really matter, but the side that's on the chin rest side, and that is what I call the fat side. You see your thin side and fat side, and I have that about 1/2 centimetre to 1 centimetre away from the feet of my chin rest, which is here. And the other side, I like to have ever so slightly lower on the lower bout than the fat side. Now yours will be different, so you really need to work with this. Ideally go to a reputable violin shop. You can have a look on Google, but they must be a luthier. If you go to a standard music shop like one of the high street music shops, I'm sorry, but they won't be able to do this, and they'll pretend that they can and do a bad job, so please don't waste your time. This shoulder rest costs about £40, about £40, 35, £40, depending where you get it from, but given that it's going to stop you from having a sore back and a sore jaw and a sore shoulder in the long run, it's really worthwhile. There are violinists who do not use the shoulder rest. I don't know how they do it. The string is coming out the centre of my head, pulling me up to the ceiling or to the heavens or whatever you like, or your invisible column of light, whatever works for you sort of in your imagination better, go with that. But I like the string because the string really gives you this idea that the rest of the body is hanging. So you should allow gravity to pull your shoulders down to the floor, shoulder blades. You know, there's no need to hold anything. Excuse me, 1 second. My cat appears to be trapped in my wardrobe, so I just need to go let her out. 1 moment. Allow the gravity or gravitational pull of the earth to pull your shoulder blades down your back. You can circle them up and backwards like that if you like, to sort of reset them if you are a bit hunched, and this can often help. So maybe a few times, circle them up, right up towards your ears and back. Also, upper body yin yoga can help relax the back if you do have any existing pain. I'm not going to go into detail on that today. That's another video, but it's sometimes we do hold a lot of tension between our shoulder blades, especially if we've been playing the violin for a long time. Okay, so your shoulders should feel like they're melting down to the ground, and your head, the string is pulling you up towards the heavens, and gravity is pulling everything else down to the ground. So you should be in some degree of equilibrium, not feeling that you're having to hold your body up in any way. Equilibrium is the key word here. We're going to come back to that. So now, the shoulder rest should be set at a level where you can hold it there with no arms and your shoulders are still melting down to the ground. If you can't do that, then it's time to adjust your shoulder rest. So it's almost like it slots in, you know. Sometimes there are things that you don't need to glue in place, you don't need to hammer in place, you can just slot them in and they stay there, right? So imagine that this is one of those things. So the weight of your head, again, converse to the string pulling your head up, that should still be going, but the weight of the head, and the weight is determined by gravity, should be enough to keep the violin in place. And the shoulders needn't push upwards. If you find yourself hunching upwards like that, then you will definitely need to look again at how to relax the shoulders, because hunching upwards like that will cause you terrible back problems in the long run and terrible neck problems. Okay, so once the violin is in place, there should be no clamping. If you find yourself pushing down excessively with your jaw, or pushing up with the shoulder, so the converse to that is the clamping of the jaw. Now this is the subject of the video. Why does my jaw hurt? Now probably because you're clamping down with it whilst you play to hold it in place. There's no need for that, as you'll find out as we go on. So also need to check your chin rest. This is a flat chin rest, which is not got one of those nasty lumps on, which are normally here. If you find that your violin does have one of those kind of chin rests fitted, then you'll need to look at getting another one. Just Google flat chin rest, or when you go to the luthier, ask for one. This one cost me about £5. I like to imagine that my violin is an extension of my shoulder blade. So the shoulder blade kind of goes that way. It's sort of sits there and follows its trajectory. So therefore, you want it to be roughly parallel with the floor. There will be a slight tilt in it, as you can see here. And again, that's sort of the shape of the collarbone. So it sits on the shoulder collarbone area, which is at a slight tilt itself. So you will see that tilt in your violin. Okay, so here we have it. No arms, no hands. Make sure the shoulders are relaxed. And then we're going to look at the left hand. So I have done another video about the left hand and the left thumb and the left arm. If you are interested, there's more detail there. But for now, we're just going to talk about how this affects the jaw. So the thumb sits, in my world anyway, underneath the violin, not on the side like that. Some people do play it like that, and you know, good luck to them, it's possible, I know. But this is how it works for me. So a lot of you will be clamping down with your jaw and hunching up with your shoulder because you're afraid of dropping the violin. Now, we've already demonstrated we can hold the violin in place with no arms. For extra security, the thumb, I like it underneath the instrument because it acts a bit like a table. My cat is meowing again. I don't know if you can hear that, but she is. So I use the thumb very much like a table, and bearing in mind the thumb does move around on the violin. It's not just stuck in one place. It can't be pushing too hard or squeezing too hard, or you will be hopeless at shifting into different positions. So if you want to check the thumb, just simply do this. If you can do that, then you have the right degree of pressure from the thumb, which is very little, to be honest. I mean, you can almost play without it, although it's not ideal because so I've got no thumb there. So gravity works on the arm in the same way that it does on the rest of your body. So when you have the fingers on the violin, the fingers are kept in place not by pushing down terribly hard, but because of gravity. So the key to this is the shape of the fingers. If your fingers are shaped like this, then the weight of the arm will transfer directly into this part of the finger. So if we have our arm in alignment, so if you've been playing for a while and you have a good teacher, they'd have told you keep the arm in alignment, which means everything here is in one line. There's no bend in the wrist that way or that way. If that's all in alignment, then the weight of the entire arm should transfer into this part of the finger if the finger is also aligned with the arm. Now, that means not putting your fingers down like that, but as close to that shape as possible to take advantage of the natural weight of the arm that will help you to get a good firm press of the string without any pressure, or without excessive pressure. That's the main thing. And the thumb acts as a table. So when we put something on a table, say for example, imagine I am a table, right? My candle here is sitting on the table. Now the table doesn't need to push upwards to keep the candle in place. There's an equilibrium because the weight of the candle simply is supported by the table, because the table is strong and in a good alignment. Now if the table was a weak table, say if it had legs that went that way rather than that way, so they were at an obtuse angle or perhaps that way, then maybe the weight of this candle would collapse the table. But when the legs are strong and in alignment, so at good solid 90-degree angles from the top of the table, then we have, there I am, then we have equilibrium. So we want to create equilibrium on the violin in the relationship between the shoulders and the head or the jaw, and also the thumb and the fingers. So if we have our fingers in the correct position, in alignment, I don't know if you can see that very well. I'm sorry, I never use unnatural lighting because I hate it unless I absolutely must. So it's a bit dark, that's why. But you should be able to see here that my finger is shaped in what I call it an N shape, like the letter N or a small N. But you can also think of it a little bit like a a hook. It's a bit like a hook, because you know hooks act in a sort of similar way. So you want to have the back of the arm in alignment and the fingers shaped nicely. Now, for more information on how to get this shape on the finger, which isn't that easy in all positions, please watch my video on the left arm and the left thumb position, because you do sometimes need to sort of adjust the position of the left arm. Playing in the higher positions, then you will find that the shape of your finger may be more like that, because you need to reach up over the fingerboard. But the main thing is that the first joint from the tip here, this part is vertical, so, or at least in alignment with the rest of the arm. So it still matters when you're in the higher positions, but you'll notice here the shape of my finger, rather than being like that, which isn't possible when we're sort of above the neck joint, you can approach them from a different sort of angle. So if you sort of draw a line between the first joint and the last joint of the finger here and here, you get a right angle, and that way you have the same effect. So the main thing is to not put the finger down like that, or you know, even like that. It should sort of really come from above for full strength and to take full advantage of the weight of the arm. So if everything's in equilibrium, then I should not feel, at the moment I don't feel any excessive pressure coming from my head. It's there, but it's there in the same way it's there now. Right now I'm not going just to stay upright, am I? No, I'm just standing here. So the string is pulling me from the top to make sure I don't collapse on the floor like a sack of beans, because my spine is in the correct shape. The spinal shape should be a little bit like an S. You know, I'm sure you have come across good spine posture before, but if you haven't, then have a look into what that is. But the shoulders being back is the main thing, and relaxed. Okay, so we've got the thumb underneath like a table. That's my security, so that if for any reason I were to lose that the equilibrium between the chin and the shoulder, I have my insurance here to make sure my violin doesn't fall on the floor. And then here, on come the fingers. Just a note again, this is in other videos, but always keep the thumb behind the first finger by about 1 inch, no matter what position you're in. So yeah, there you have it. So I could even do it without my chin being on there. Not as easy. So I'd recommend, if you want to test this out, maybe try taking your chin off, try taking your thumb off, that kind of thing, and mess around a bit. So the next thing I want to talk about is how you can heal existing jaw tension. So you might have been playing for a while and you've already built up some jaw tension. So there's a few little tips. So the first is that we often hold anger in our bodies, and the jaw is a very common place. So say for example, if you often hold things in and you don't say them, but you feel angry and you're not somebody who enjoys confrontation, you may develop jaw tension, because the physical part of the body, so when you speak, it's your mouth, that is sort of associated with speaking, is naturally where the tension will be held as well. So try to speak up a bit more if you don't, and just be aware of that. Mental tension as well, because it's our brain, that's quite close to the jaw system here. If you're somebody that thinks a lot, then you can often hold that in your jaw. There are other places you can hold it too, but we're just talking about the jaw today, so I'm not going to talk about them. Now, the number one way to deal with this is to learn how to meditate. If you don't already, meditation is simply a very, very ancient practice. It can be done very simply. You needn't go to a special course or pay anybody a lot of money to do it. You can just simply relax your body. Sit down, shut your eyes, sit down somewhere. Ideally, it's best to be sat with your legs crossed or on a chair with your spine upright, so that you can practice this posture during your meditation. Because if everything's in equilibrium, then you should be able to maintain that posture without too much pain. Now, if you are a new starter to meditation, you will find that you might have some pain in your back, and therefore I'd recommend coupling this practice with some yoga. Yin yoga for upper back and lower back, or yin yoga for back pain is really good and will give you some basic strengthening exercises. Now, meditation, one simple meditation you can try today. If you find that whilst you're sat there on your chair or on the floor or on a sofa, it doesn't matter, with your back straight, if you really struggle with this, by the way, you can also do it lying down. But, you know, see that as a beginner stage and try to work up to sitting upright. First of all, do a body scan. So go through each part of your body and tell it to relax. So there's something called body talk. So if I say, okay, arm, it's safe to relax now. Like that. Okay, jaw, it's okay to relax. It's safe. Go through your body part by part, just like that. Okay, shoulders, it's safe to relax. You can try, what's the type of yoga called? Yin yoga. I can't remember right now, but if it does come to mind, I'll put it in the comments. But a body scan. You can also Google body scan meditation. That will probably give you something as well. But just talk to your body, and you can also do this when you're in your day-to-day life. So if you feel the jaw tension coming, then just say, it's okay, jaw, it's okay to relax. Another way to meditate is, you can do this even when you're not meditating, but it really helps to clear the mind at the beginning of a meditation, is to ask yourself every time you have a thought, is this thought useful? And then normally the answer is no, very rarely it's yes. Then you say, how does it behave? So the answer to this is usually anticipation about the future, in which case it's not useful right now because the future hasn't happened yet. Memories of the past, that's a big one for me. So you might be going over and over something in your head that happened yesterday, or maybe something will pop up from the past that made you angry or whatever. But again, that's not useful. Try to be in the present as much as you can in order to reduce physical tension. So memory of the past, a judgment. So maybe you thought, oh, I mean, Aunt Vera the other day, she only turned up at my house 10 minutes late. Blimmin' cheek of it, you know, that kind of thing. A reaction. So maybe you'll hear an ambulance sound like the one that went past earlier, and you'll go, oh, like that. So that's a reaction. So we're trying not to be reactive. We're trying not to dwell on the past, be anxious about the future, or make any judgments at this point. So that generally will steer you in the right direction. So just catch yourself, whatever the thought is. Throat chakra yoga. Now, if you just Google throat chakra yoga, you'll find some simple stretches which will help with the jaw and to undo any tension there. So one of them, which is great, is called lion's mouth, and lion's mouth is to go Now a lovely one is a jaw massage. So I'm going to show you a very simple one now. I use sweet almond oil because it's an oil which is very light and suitable for the skin on the face. So we don't want to use any old oil because remember, it's going to be on the face. Now the lighter oils are better on the face. You can also use coconut oil. My skin's quite sensitive, so if you do have very sensitive skin, sweet almond oil tends to be good. Always do a tester if you've never used an oil before, and just a little dab on your skin, perhaps on your neck, and check 24 hours in advance that it's not going to cause a reaction. But little bit of the oil into your palm. Doesn't need to be too much, half a teaspoon or a teaspoonful. Okay, I'll just show you how much I've got. You probably can't see that, but it's not an awful lot. Rub it together in the palms a bit. So start off pushing upwards on the jaw. Now I'm going to struggle to speak. But that can often alleviate the jaw a lot. So pushing upwards and using your entire palms. The palms, whether you're aware of it or not, your palms have healing abilities and power. We're built that way. We all have it. So using direct palm contact, holding your jaw like that, can be very healing, and breathing whilst you do it. So yeah, pushing upwards on the neck. Now it might be nice to do that for a couple of minutes and sort of try to counteract the downwards pressure that we often exert from our jaw in the neck first. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the face. So once you've done that for 5 minutes, just sort of get the oil on the jaw, use some gentle motions around the jaw. Now, because my problem is with the joint, I start off pressing into the joint like that. So you should feel a little dippy groove when you open your jaw in the ear. So just press into there and massage into it. So back here, we often keep quite a lot of tension in this part. So you might feel it's a bit sinewy or sinewy. I'm not sure what the word is, but there's something we kind of build up in the body when we have blocked lymph glands. Now the lymph glands eliminate the toxins in our body. If we hold a lot of tension, then they can get blocked. So they in particular are sort of in this area. So really give them a bit of a massage. Try to, actually it's better to go this way, you know, because we drain over the back of the ears and down like that into the collarbone. And this point here is the lymph drainage node or point in the body for the jaw area. So you kind of want to take the tension up like this, around and over the back of the ears, massage the back of the ears, and then down the neck like that. Okay, so this is a really, really good thing to do to clear the jaw of any pressure. Now this part in here, I find that gets very sensitive for me, so I tend to just massage in there with the oil into the sort of soft bit, which is, you've got the hard bone of the jaw here and a soft bit there, so massage in there a little bit. Sinuses, although that's quite far away, it's good to drain the sinuses because that's all connected to the jaw as well. So you can push into the nose, up here, over the eyebrow, and away over the top of the ear, and again draining it down here. So we also have this part of the jaw, which is the sort of inner part of the teeth. Like if you draw a line from the front teeth all the way to the back where the two meet, that bit holds a lot of tension. Now this is probably the most sensitive part if you're a violinist, because these are the muscles that will probably hold the most of the pain. So you kind of want to get the fingers and sort of pull them almost away from each other a little bit, so that you're just sort of gently pulling down here, down the side of the jaw, the top, down the side, kind of ironing out any build up in the muscles. This side of the jaw, the top side, isn't really as affected, not in my life anyway, it's the bottom side. So this movement here, really pushing down to, it's really hard to talk and do this, allow it to relax, and then that's it. Okay, so open your mouth as wide as you can. Now you can do this for like 10 minutes if you like. It's not a waste of time, because that muscle that you get to in there doesn't often get much love. Ear massage can help as well, by the way. It's a pain in the bum because you often have to wash your hair afterwards if you've got some hair. So maybe do it before you have to wash your hair. Is there anything else that you can do? I mean, It doesn't hurt to sort of massage around here as well, but that's really not the most relevant. Front of the chin, that can hold some tension as well. So that's jaw massage. I won't sort of talk about that much more. You really have to kind of feel what you need, but just know there's a lymph drainage point here, which means that if you, anything that you do massage from the face should always be sent over the top of the ears, down back behind, and then down like that. When you finish, if you want to sort of make sure you've cleared it all, you can do the opposite movement to what we started with, which is that. But I would maybe do that with soft fingers, because we've kind of, the hard fingers, they're not hard fingers. Use the entire palm when you're going upwards, and when you're going down, just drain it lightly like that, because that's the sort of touch that gets the lymph nodes, the lymph system working, not that heavy touch. That's a little bit deeper, and lymph is quite close to the skin. So lymph is all over our body. It's as important as blood to keep us alive. So good. All right, so anything else here? Tongue placement. So often people think, oh, where should I put my tongue? So sort of sitting there, and I don't really have a place for it. So we quite often hold it in the back of the mouth if we're not sure what else to do with it, and that is obviously a recipe for some degree of tension. So the best place for a relaxed placement is right behind the two front teeth. Sort of have the tip of the tongue touching there. So there's another therapy I've been trying recently which has done wonders for me. It's called infrared light therapy. Now you can do it on the face, shut the eyes before you go in. The infrared healing is simply they come in all sorts of shapes, but you can get a handheld one and you can hold it in front of your face if you like, and it just emits a heat from it which is similar to the heat of sunlight, but it doesn't burn your skin. It's not UV, but it's the only light that can penetrate deep into the, well, red light is the only light on the spectrum that can penetrate through the skin. And it can penetrate deep into the body. Now, depending where you hold it on your body, it can relax the organs. It also heals. It speeds up the healing process. It's just the same as a day in the sun, I believe, without the sunburn. But if you don't get much sunlight, then infrared healing can be really good and really relaxing, especially for the jaw. It's done wonders for me, and it also cleans the sinuses out at the same time. So I really hope that not only does this help your violin playing, but it also helps your confidence in communication. I will be making a lot more videos on this particular topic. So my speciality, as well as teaching and playing the violin, is healing the physical challenges, emotional, some might even say spiritual challenges that come with playing the violin. Do subscribe. I would love it if you could leave a comment, any feedback if this has helped you. This is a fairly new channel for me at the moment, so I'm really looking to sort of get as much feedback as I can as to which topics that you would like me to talk about. Have a great day. Take care. Bye bye.